Well, hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thwack Livecast in the slightly redesigned studio here in Austin, Texas. I am very excited to be here. So welcome to the Livecast. I'm actually really excited about today. We're getting to do something we don't normally do. We're talking about things that are still coming down the road. I know most of you attend the Livecast to talk about like what's just out or what this cool thing is. So I'm gonna get rid of the preamble. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We're gonna go ahead and start. If you do not know who I am Kevin Sparenberg. I'm the technical content manager for our community, which basically means I'm just passionate about speaking with our customers and everyone who's interested in using the SolarWinds solutions. But I'm the small part of the show. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing Arun. Arun, can you tell everyone who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Kevin. I'm a new hire at SolarWinds and very excited to join. I'm a director of product management here, and I'm responsible for the security and tools portfolio. But I'm also responsible for some of the observability initiatives that have been happening at SolarWinds. Previous to SolarWinds, I've come from different networking backgrounds at Cisco, Riverbed, and other places. Recent stint at VMware. But like you said, very excited to talk about the observability initiatives and the different options that customers have and how they can leverage SolarWinds power.
Okay, so like all livecasts, I want to do a quick recap of where we are. We do these basically in series. Sometimes there's one-offs, but normally we try to have a theme with this. We started with network tactics mid last year, a little while ago. All of these are available in the archive. And IT Journey to Monitoring Glory, that was a whole thing about like how monitoring actually works in like the real world. And if you're new to monitoring, how you get your feet wet and get started. We talked about some Orion platform automation you can do. That includes like out of the box stuff, not anything super crazy in scripting, but we do talk about in another session. And then this is the third part in a discovering of observability thing that we're talking about. And the first one was about charting a course, basically understanding the progression. The next one was more about like, okay, now I'm ready to make this leap. How do I go into that? What are my upgrades like? And all of these are available basically on the page you're on right now, thwack.com/livecast. If you're joining us live, there should be a chat over here. Please ask questions. We have several people helping us. Arun and I obviously are here live. It's a little hard to answer the questions. They'll bubble questions up to us if we need them. But I want to put special thanks out to both Pavel and Vijay. If you see them in there, say hello on my behalf. They're there to answer the technical questions about this. Pavel's from product management and Vijay's from our engineering and architecture, talking about SolarWinds Observability Platform. So today we're going to talk about kind of like what are your deployment options, what are they going to look like, explain kind of how the single view will help you in obtaining observability across basically all of your infrastructure. And part of that is like if you can have that full visibility, then you can kind of bubble up what are like in monitoring terms, you would call them metrics or KPIs, but they're not really either of those. They're more of a kind of a business score. And it's the stuff that all of our managers have been asking us for years. And we're like, can't you just read those numbers and know this is good or bad? Observability is a way to kind of up-level that so you don't have to be stuck in answering those hard questions. If you weren't part of the previous two, I'm doing an incredibly quick recap. So what exactly is SolarWinds Hybrid Cloud Observability? And we're getting this question a lot, and I will tell you I was at Cisco Live and I spoke to someone and they said, isn't this just a next version of Orion? And I said, yes and no. It is technically your on-prem Orion solutions evolved. It is a different way to package them because we want to make sure that everyone can actually have all the observability they need for all of their on-prem infrastructure, make sure that they have all the functionality they need, and also have the scale they need if they want to move things around. So if you have things in a DMZ or on the other side of the planet, being able to throw a polling engine out there and a polling engine out there and put a bunch of web servers in front of it and have them behind a load balancer. What that really means for us and for kind of the mapping is that these map over to specific, basically, products. And I'm only even giving this slide because this is going to slowly go away. Because we're all in the business now of breaking down those silos, and it's less about understanding how this one metric is and more how that metric goes everywhere else. So this is where I want to talk now. Again, we're talking about futures here, so I want to make sure that I put up the legal disclaimer so everyone knows that this is not ready for prime time. You are getting a very early behind the scenes discussion on this. This is still in flight. This is why we want to get it out there because we love our customers and we want to make sure we hear from you. But let's talk about SolarWinds Observability. So Arun and I had a discussion. It had to start a couple of months ago, honestly. And I said, I'm a former customer. I worked with the product suite for 8 years. I had like 8 of the modules when they were still called modules, but I ran the Orion platform. I was really happy with it. And he encouraged me to come up with a list of questions. And I'm hoping these mirror most of the questions that our customers, the people in Thwack, in the chat are going to have. So Arun, do you mind if I get started on those?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be thrilled to talk to them.
Okay, so this is obviously not an on-prem solution. This is a SaaS-based solution, but we already have SaaS-based products. We have what we classify as our application management, our APM solutions, our application performance management and monitoring. And that is stuff like Pingdom, Loggly, AppOptics, and Papertrail. So how is SolarWinds Observability different from those?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the way SolarWinds Observability is starting up, again, I'm saying starting up, is by having a platform architectural beginning, which means that SolarWinds is actually building up a new SaaS platform using all the latest cloud technologies, whether it's Kubernetes, microservices, open telemetry, GraphQL, you name it, serverless. We use all these latest technologies to combine those existing SaaS entities while adding more. That's why I said the existing SaaS products are just the beginning. So to your point, we have the APM technologies with AppOptics, DEM with Pingdom, DBO with Cortex, and then logs with either Papertrail or Loggly. Those are just the beginnings. The way they're all integrated into this platform architecture is these are modules that sit on top of this new architecture that we're building up. And what does this architecture, the platform architecture, give to these modules is the cross-module observability scenarios wherein it's not silos, to your point earlier, right? It's not okay, what's happening in APM? How can I look for the corresponding logs? Do I have to log into 2 different entities to see what's happening? Now you don't have all of that. You have a single pane of glass connected with a platform. And that platform brings a lot of commonality like user interface, alerting, notifications, storage, security. The new ones like health scores, AI-based anomaly detections, and like I said, the cross-module observability scenarios where you're now looking across the board, across your assets, rather than looking at each silo individually. I think this is the newness that will come with the SaaS SolarWinds Observability platform, and connecting the existing SaaS products, but eventually adding more. We'll talk about it as we progress.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have specifics, but the fear was, and I say this in the nicest way possible, the fear was early on when we said SolarWinds is making an observability platform and it's going to be SaaS first. The fear was that people were like, oh, you're lift and shifting Orion over there. But what you're telling me is this, at least for the first iteration, is not based actually around the Orion tech stack.
Yeah, you can say so. Think of Orion as something which is very good and works with your on-prem infrastructure, whether it's network infrastructure, server infrastructure, whatever it may be. Whereas the SaaS platform is very good with its integration with the public cloud providers, native public cloud providers itself. Now, all of a sudden, when you combine these two, I'll talk about the ways with which these two can be combined. All of a sudden, you have a marriage between the on-prem goodness of Orion and then the SaaS capabilities that are more native with the public cloud integrations that we do on the SaaS side.
Okay, so I want to make sure everyone is very clear. When I say Orion, I'm using it for the historical terminology. Today, and realistically, you never bought Orion. Orion was a gimme when you bought one of the products. Now with the way we're doing it, because we want you to have this full visibility, we're really talking about hybrid cloud observability. It's a product that we sell. It's basically all the Orion modules, all the ones you know and love, all brought together, single licensing model. Very easy to deploy, scaling options, lab license options. So everyone out there who's been asking for lab licenses for years, please take note of this. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. So if we're talking about hybrid cloud observability, and it's a lot of words, and I'm going to screw it up, so I'm probably going to start saying HCO, just because it's going to be easier to repeat. So what would a deployment look like if we wanted to monitor? So let's say I'm in an environment and I want to monitor some stuff in the cloud, native first, cross-cloud, forget the provider, but I want to watch it out there, and I want to use SolarWinds Observability platform. Then I see, but I've got some things inside, like maybe I've got an edge or a couple of servers or some data. Like how do I crisscross that barrier?
So let me rephrase your question. So let's imagine that I'm a customer who's completely new to the SolarWinds portfolio. I don't have the HCO or the Orion module. I'm starting with the SolarWinds Observability platform. What you're asking me is, how can I monitor my on-prem infrastructure elements that I have in my on-prem apart from the public cloud pieces?
Yes.
So yes, SolarWinds Observability Platform is a SaaS offering, which means that it's natively integrated with public clouds, blah, blah, blah. But customers do have an option to install Swo agents on their on-prem servers, or optionally, they can install an Orion collector in their network. And this data that is collected through that Orion collector is actually punted over to the Swo platform. When I say Swo, it is the SolarWinds Observability platform. And this platform, obviously being SaaS, it's either deployed on Azure or AWS. So it's again a choice for customers. And then all of a sudden you have this on-prem data coming over to the SaaS platform. And like I said before, there are some native platform capabilities like health scores, anomaly detections, and other things that actually give you some modernized visualizations of your on-prem data.
Yeah, and having it in something that is a modern UI, something literally built from scratch for today's tech, because I'm not sharing anything anyone else doesn't feel. The products that are on-prem look a little dated. It's not their fault. They've got very, very long tails. They've been in the place, and we're technology people. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. And right now, the only thing, quote, broke, and I don't actually think it is because I customize them a lot, is the displays are a little boring. But having a net new platform, we get to kind of like reinvent this all. So that's amazing. I'm excited to it. I've seen, which we're not going to show, and I am sorry, I've seen very early mock-ups. I've seen very early previews. I'm really excited for this. You can probably tell from the way I'm talking about it. I'm anxious to get this out in the customer hands, but sorry, let's go back to questions. People have them. Let's go back.
Sure.
If I'm inferring what you said right, I can run SolarWinds Observability Platform, SWO, SWO. I can run that without running hybrid cloud observability, HCO. So I don't technically need a presence of any install on-prem, right?
Yeah, if you don't have that historical data with HCO, the point I'm trying to say is as a new customer, as a prospective customer into the SolarWinds product portfolio, you don't need to have HCO. You can start with the Swo deployment and start collecting your data from your on-prem environments and then punt that data over to the SaaS. But if you have a HCO deployed already, that's a completely different story, whole new set of use cases. And the goodies that we will be bringing with that combination will eventually be present even for just Swo customers also.
Okay.
I'll elaborate on that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk now, or you want me to punt this around?
I'll wait for a few questions before I come back to this. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, although we were doing this live, we talked about it before. So please, if you have questions that I'm not covering, please put them in the chat. Yeah. The team will bubble them up to me, or Pavel or VJ will answer them live. If you're watching this from the archive, you're not going to see the chat over yonder. And if there's any questions we feel need to be addressed because we don't cover it actually in the video, we will put additional resources and notes below the video so you can read through them there. Okay. Next question I came up with is, how can we leverage our on-prem deployment and still take advantage of this SWO, the SaaS deployment?
That is a fantastic question. So a lot of HCO customers, or Orion customers whose eventual journey is to come to HCO, can actually leverage the SaaS platform as a digital transformation journey for the management layer itself. What I mean by that is HCO customers who have historical data collected inside HCO can start using something that we call internally as the cloud connected infrastructure, which means your HCO, which is your on-prem management layer, can send data, can connect to a Swo tenant on the SaaS side and start sending that HCO data that you have to the Swo tenant that belongs to you. And all of a sudden, the platform goodies aside, we are actually introducing the NPM, Nta kind of functionalities in the SaaS platform also, which means that not just the APMs and the pingdoms or the logleys of the world, you will eventually start seeing the network performance monitoring, the server performance monitoring, all these value-added capabilities that you have on the HCO platform show up on the SaaS side with more SaaS goodness like AI-based anomaly detections, health scores, and other modernized UI dashboards and stuff like that. So to answer your question, yes, your on-prem data is valuable. You can use the data, send the data to SaaS as you wish, and then you can start seeing your modernized UI along with a lot of the platform goodness I talked about on the SaaS side as well.
Okay, so it's an additional way to visualize everything. And I assume, I can't see a scenario for this, but I assume that if your teams were still siloed, please don't let them be, and like APM, and I'm using the term very loosely, team wanted the cloud-only SaaS SWO option, and you were very much rooted in your on-prem solution, you could still run them isolated, you just don't kind of get your full observability until the data connects, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So you kind of already touched on it, but one of the things I came up with was, what does hybrid cloud observability, what does the SolarWinds observability platform, and what does the cloud connecting infrastructure give? And you've alluded to some of that, but is there anything else you can give us?
Yeah, sure. So this combined architecture actually gives the HCO on-prem customers to migrate to SaaS. So customers may not migrate to SaaS completely, shut off their on-prem system and go to SaaS. They cannot do that. So it's an eventual journey for them to start using their HCO deployment, start trying out the SaaS deployment, connect the two, eventually start with, so we are starting with the NPM and Nta module equivalents or the data from the NPM and Nta modules as the starting point. Eventually, you will see that data ending up in the Swo platform. So you'll start to see modernized visualizations of your network performance and traffic analysis and all those platform richness on the SaaS side with this data. Eventually, over a period of time, you'll see most of your on-prem modules being visualized on the SaaS side. And if the customer has a choice to, at that point, shut off their on-prem deployment and only see the visualizations in Swo, they can do that. But what it's giving until then is a migration and a journey, eventual journey to SaaS.
Yeah, because the number of people that use some cloud but don't want to take the time, forgive me for phrasing it this way, don't want to learn the time to learn the APIs, don't want to learn the time to understand the RESTful API calls you have to get the metrics out and what those compare to. We're kind of taking that load off of them and letting them just do that natively in the SolarWinds observability platform. And that way you have that ability to go through. And actually, I just want to touch back real fast. You mentioned Nta and Npm, so Network Performance Monitor, Legacy Module, and Network Traffic Analyzer, or NetFlow Traffic Analyzer, depending on how old you say it. Now they handle, SFlow, JFlow, NetFlow v5, v9, like the original NetFlow protocols, the stuff from Meraki. But you mentioned OpenTelemetry. And OpenTelemetry is an interesting one. We got a lot of questions at Cisco Live. And because OpenTelemetry is still open and is available for interpretation, it's one of those things that I got a lot of questions when I was on the floor at, it's like, how can we interpret this information in near real time, and there isn't really a full standard yet. There's kind of a standard, but everyone kind of adds a little extra to either side. So having the flexibility of a SaaS solution to process this kind of stuff has got to give us that agility to change quickly without having to push out a hotfix or push out something where we extend the database and add new tables. It's going to give the agility to the platform that previously people had to wait for. You had to schedule your change window. You had to worry about, getting your outage times. You had to maybe change your configs on your routers. Now, just OpenTelemetry, just the inclusion of that made me happy. So thank you for bringing that up, because it's an incredibly interesting and incredibly powerful technology that hasn't hit a full maturity model yet, where all the organizations have said, no, this is the standard we're going to work with. And for us as a software vendor, that can make it difficult. So I'm really happy that's already on your roadmap and is one of the very first things you plan on integrating after initial launch. So thank you, and thanks to your team.
Yeah, again, we have the technical presence on the chat. If there are any questions around that, Vijay is on the chat. Happy to assist any of those questions.
Okay. All right. One thing we get is some people run one-to-many. Let me explain. Some people have multiple Orion servers in their respective geos, and then kind of put an enterprise operation console either at like their main data center or a cloud. But can we have like multiple hybrid cloud observability instances if they're like globally deployed or wherever they are? Can they all talk back to a single point in SWO?
Yes, as long as they have that secure connection to the specific Swo tenant of theirs, they can do so, yes.
Okay. So you can do one-to-many just as long as you have whatever, bearer token or whatever authentication keys we're going to come up with. All right. You already alluded to this.
Correct.
But can we upgrade from my on-prem to Swo? And it sounds like not initially. And I want to make sure everyone's clear. You're not going to get all the functionality to start, but we're prioritizing the important stuff. So is the plan to eventually give people the option to move entirely to the SaaS solution?
The answer is more nuanced than calling it just a plain upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So what I said earlier is that they both can coexist until the considerable period of time. And that considerable period of time is when customers are comfortable with shutting one off and only depending on the other. So what I mean by that is you can run both of them concurrently. You can have all the richness that your HCO on-prem platform has up until now that you've been using and you're familiar with it, until all the modules that you care about are migrated over to the SaaS platform. They can be coexisting. And eventually there will be a point in future when both of them will have, I loosely use the word parity, but when both of them will have that parity, then it's up to you to say, you know what, I trust this enough. I'm seeing good value out of this. I can shut this down. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, upgrade, and I should have done my air quotes because obviously this is more of a data migration, a trust building process, and a confidence not only in our brand and in the solution, but that you're still getting the data you need to be actionable in a different place, which is honestly the same thing people do whenever they try to test a new NMS anyway. So yeah, I mean, treat us like a regular bake-off as far as I'm concerned. If the functionality is not quite there yet, keep your on-prem for another couple of months. Just make sure you watch the space where we're going to be talking about the feature ads, and then you can, kick up a trial real fast.
Yep.
Okay. I'm breaking my current discussion. I generally do not talk dollars, and I do not want to put dollars assigned to this, but hybrid cloud observability is licensed on the thing I'm monitoring, the node, essentially. Is SWO going to follow something similar, or is it a different model?
So it's probably too early to talk about it, but let me tell you where we are right now, right?
Okay.
So the Swo currently is in an early access phase, which means it offers a few a la carte packages where customers can purchase one or multiple capabilities like APM or structure or net can purchase some quantity of these as a la carte. We will eventually offer platform level packages like, again, loosely using gold, silver, bronze type of tiering, where some of the stuff will be pre-included, and then we can go with that. Again, it's too early, but if you have specific questions around it, if you want to understand how we are thinking through it, always feel free to contact your salesperson, or you can reach out to any of us, and then we can connect up.
Yeah, this is the thing where this is a chance for us to do, I can't believe I'm saying this. This is a chance for us to do a little market research with the people that actually already use our products. And it's a great chance to have your voices heard and make sure you're a part of that, because you mentioned the gold, silver, bronze, and platinum, diamond, however people are doing that stuff now. But that's a licensing model that some people are very comfortable with. It's one that other people would maybe not be so comfortable with because they need very specific things. But that is a great discussion to have now while we're still working, again, on the architecture and how it's going to phase out. And it kind of leads me to the follow-up to that is like, okay, you said early access. How early access? When can I see this?
Yeah, so it's currently, not give you dates, but it's currently under active development. And when I say it's early access, it is being worked upon with new features and improvements added weekly. Being a SaaS platform, that's the luxury. So we've onboarded already a number of customers and partners. If you're as a customer, if you're really interested to have a hand on it, we can schedule a session with you, show you a live demo, and get your feedback. And if you're very much intrigued to try it out in your environment, we can actually do a white glove support directly from the product and engineering team, and do a white glove support in your environment with this new SaaS offering. We'll do our best to make it smooth, but remember that it's still under development. There will be some bumps and edges before the product actually goes GA. And the tentative timeline for it to be GA is in around the Q4 of this year.
Okay. So hopefully before close of this year, we should have something in general availability for everybody. But if they're interested in alpha previews, maybe have that white glove treatment where they put a couple of things in it, then we're actually including a survey in the chat. It's probably already been dropped. Pop that into a new window, fill it out. One of the questions in there is like, would you be interested in early access? And we're doing that so we can collect this stuff because this is SolarWinds. We love UX testing. We love UI discussions. We want to hear, because if you're not enjoying using your product, you're not going to use your product. And we like it, and we want to make sure we're building the best possible, which kind of dovetails into, if people are on the fence on that, how do they know it is a good choice for them?
Yeah, so like I said, we are in the early access program, and we are looking for customers who are really, really interested in trying out these early adopter or early technologies that really drive them and their passions. So secondly, we're also interested in recruiting customers who are interested in influencing the direction of this while benefiting from these technology innovations that we're building up. So if you want to try it out, try the latest technology out, give us direct feedback, help change the course of the direction for this product based on what you think and based on what we think as a substantial change that we consider a lot of customers will be benefited by it, we will actually go ahead and implement those feedback from you. And then we'll provide you with special incentives in licensing. So like I said, it is a young product. It'll have its rough edges. So if you're okay with it, if you're okay in trying out these early technologies, happy to work with you. And it is the right time for you to test it out and influence its direction. But if you are not such a customer, and if you're a customer who likes to wait for it to be a little bit more mature, I would advise, stick on with your HCO deployments until the Swo actually goes GA and matures a little bit.
Yeah, I would double down on that after being a SolarWinds customer for a number of years and now an employee for a number of years, and say, if you have previously participated in our UX sessions or UX research with our UX team, if you have previously participated in any of the beta runs and you have a place where you can test this, i.e. you actually do have a lab or you do have a staging environment that's, you have like an Azure staging environment as opposed to AWS where your production is, or vice versa, or however you set it up. If you have a scenario like that, we definitely want to hear from you, because after being in this industry as long as I have, we are not going to know every single thing that's going to affect all of our customers. And the more we can collect that early, the better the product will be at initial launch and then iterative after that. Because if we don't have it right now, it may not be there in 2 months, but it'll go in the backlog and it's not going to get forgotten. Especially on something that we can update and don't have to worry about people downloading and pushing and fixing and patching. We can just push the thing out. So get in early, fill out the survey, and that's it. That's all the questions I had. Did these bring up any questions did I miss anything, Arun?
No, I think you covered it all. I think we discussed about, let me recap a few things, right? We discussed about which customers can leverage the SaaS observability platform. So we talked about net new customers leveraging the SaaS platform. They can use an Orion installer or even use direct agents on servers and send the data to the SaaS if they don't have an existing HCO deployment. If they're in a HCO customer already having lots of historical data, they can use that to send that data module by module as we are building it and send that data over to the SaaS side and leverage the platform capabilities of the SaaS and the modern capabilities of that SaaS platform. So both the products, the Swo platform and the HCO platform, can coexist until there is, quote unquote, again, air quotes, parity between the two platforms, at which point you have a choice to completely shut off your on-prem and then see that visualizations in the SaaS side completely. But obviously it'll take time to get to that state, but it's a journey. And that journey is where we'll help customers with. And again, early access program, interested customers, happy to reach out and talk to them.
Yeah, this is something where we have done all of our data collection, we've done a lot of our interviews, we know what we need to build for the initial release, but the path is still open for everyone else. So I encourage you to get in, like if making things up, if errors and discards from interfaces are the most important thing on your organization, get on one of these early adopter calls. Make sure that they know that that's something they need to send over from the NPM and the network stack, the network management stack. If you need S-flow from virtual switches or something, whatever, get on these, because it's better for us to hear it and say, okay, cool, that's now on our roadmap, than not hear it and unfortunately hear about it after the stuff goes out. I love this stuff. I'm super excited for this. In fact, not going to promise, but I'm hoping in the beginning of next year, we will come back and do another live cast where we can show off a little bit more of this, possibly with a connected thing. Again, all of this is based on this. This is why we don't plan for futures all the time, but we wanted to make sure we peel back the curtain so everyone here understands that the work we've been doing hasn't been in a silo. We've been listening to you and we've been building solutions for you. And honestly, SWO is one of those things that, for me at least, that's the interface that your management wants, maybe more so than you want. And if it's for no other reason, just to have those health scores, just to have those numbers, and they can be green, 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 yellow. What's yellow and why is it yellow? And then you have your marching orders. All right. I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, I'm going to have to lean over here and see if there's any questions that came in. I see there's a whole bunch coming through. I see the survey is out there. If anyone wants to bubble up questions to me, go ahead and send them on over. Let's see. I think we are good. I think we've covered most of the questions, actually, which is kind of nice for a change. We normally have a bunch of them. So I know it's late there for you, so thank you for dialing in late. I have announcements. This is why it's live. I am terribly sorry. I wrote things down and now I lost the paper and my pen.
So Kevin, you're not alone. I had my live moment. I just realized my charge is getting over, so I had to grab out my charger and come back.
It happens. All right. So I really enjoy doing these, and honestly, this is fine for me, but I really like the guests. Again, Arun, thank you for being here. Next month, we are going to be taking a detour away from what I would call traditional monitoring and talking about our ITSM solution. That is the SolarWinds Service Desk. We're going to talk about that and automation, and we're going to have David Russell, probably helped out a little bit by Sean Sebring, names you probably recognize. I will probably be in there very much the way I am right now, where I'm just asking the questions because it's something I know about, but I know like this much and I want to know that much. So they're coming up. That's, I believe it's August 25th. You can just come back to this page probably tomorrow or early next week, thwack.com/livecast, and register for it then. Also, if you happen to be in the greater Austin metropolitan area or, I don't know, I'll go as far as Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, we're coming back. SWUG is coming back. I don't know if you've noticed, SWUG. We're coming back to Austin, where it all began many, many years ago. We will be here September 12th and 13th for a 2-day SWUG, and that is a Monday, Tuesday. Ideal days to not to go to the office. So please come and join us. It's a place, if you're familiar with the SolarWinds campus, it's about 15 minutes away from campus, but we have a conference center where we have the rooms. If you've been to SWUG, you know. You can sign up for that. Just go to thwack.com/SWUG, SWUG, to come to our user group. We're going to have giveaways, prizes, drinks receptions, study hall breaks. UX is going to be there. You're going to have a bunch of the executives giving discussions. It's a great place. Arun, if I could convince you to come back, but I know you're traveling like crazy, but if you want to come on by, just let me know. And I think that's it. I don't see any questions bubbling up, but if anything, I'm going to stay on the chat for probably another 10 or 15 minutes because I want to capture this stuff. And then we will move it into show notes essentially after we're done, but I don't want to keep you. It's late there and you deserve some rest, sir.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It was a pleasure talking to you, and great questions, by the way. You had me thinking.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, if that's all I do for people, great. So for myself, for the video team, for the Thwack team here at SolarWinds, I'm Kevin Sparenberg. Thank you, Arun, and we'll see you next time.